Welcome back to my channel. This is Blue Heron Hill and I'm Sue. And right now I'm sitting in my garden, and as you saw in the little thumbnail beforehand, it is hot. And if you look down in the lower right hand corner, you will see that we haven't had very much rain this month. And I'm afraid that that's probably what it's going to be like for the rest of the summer. So I've got to get out here and water this garden. It takes a long time to fully water both gardens. I have one on this side here. This has 5 raised beds. There's 2 over that way, and then I am sitting underneath the green bean arbor, which they're slowly working their way up to the top, not providing me a whole lot of shade quite yet. But I have 3 smaller raised beds on this side. Now my other side in the main garden has a drip irrigation system. Put it in last year, lifesaver. So this year it's time for these 5 raised beds to get a drip irrigation system. So what I did was I mapped everything out and figured out what I needed, what parts and pieces I needed for each bed. So I put in my order, I got my order, and I made a mistake. I needed a few more pieces in order to do it. They came in, and so now I'm doing it. Hot as it is, now it's time to get going. This is not a hard procedure. It just takes a little bit of forethought, and a diagram definitely helps, so you know what you're doing beforehand. Most of these companies, I got my things through Thrift Depot. I think they're out in Oregon, and very helpful, very friendly customer service, very prompt. So I'm going to show you not all these raised beds, but I'm going to show you one and how I get it set up. So come on down close and we'll get started. Okay, I have a few of the parts and pieces that are needed. These are the joints, so to speak. We have a T-joint here. This is going to help split off the water from the main line. Here's my main line down here, which comes from my water source, which is in that direction. So we're going to put this at this juncture here, along this side of the raised bed. Then it's going to come up here and attach with another short piece of this pipe, and this is with an elbow that's going to go there. I have a shut-off valve in case I want to shut off water from this bed for whatever reason. Who knows, in the future it may have onions in it, and I don't want to water the onions after they have, matured and they're out laying in the sun, and I'm trying to harden off a little bit. And we have a few clips that can help clip this main water line down to, the structure, so it's just not flapping all around. When you get down to the end of my raised bed, I'm going to need to put on an end cap to stop the flow of water here and force the water in drip tapes that are going to go down each raised bed. Each raised bed may have a different number of drip tapes. It's just going to depend upon what I have going in the garden at that particular time. Okay, I laid out my pieces here. I'm going to need some short pieces that are going to go from the T to the elbow, from the elbow to the shut-off valve, and let's just kind of get this going. So sometimes it's a little difficult to put this mainline tubing in over this barb joint here. So it's suggested that, well, this isn't my coffee on a hot day, but dip it into some warm to hot water, definitely not boiling water, but maybe at about 10 seconds to soften up this area here. So I'm going to be putting on the T-joint, and takes a little bit of pressure to work it over that barb there. Make sure this is all the way back, the sleeve. It makes it a little easier, and then you just tighten it down as tight as you can go. So there we have our T-joint, which is going to sit at the edge of my raised bed. We need a short tubing to come up to then accommodate the L bracket. So again, dip it into the warm water for about 10 seconds. Okay. And slide it over that. And then tighten that down. This end, where it's going to attach to the elbow joint, soften up that pipe, that tubing. You want to make sure that these are both pointed in the same direction. And then tighten those down very securely. Okay. Now, next comes my shutoff valve, and I need another short length of tubing. This is about 3 inches. Soften it in the water. Oops. Again. And tighten that. Procedure again is the same. And screw this down. Sometimes I'll turn that so you can get good leverage. Now, this part, this remainder of this run is going to go the length, or excuse me, the width of my raised bed. So here's a length of the mainline tubing. And again, we're going to put that just in the water to soften it. We're going to have to cut the width of our raised bed. I just have tin snips. If you have a pair of heavy-duty scissors, that works. Also, box cutters work, a knife. It's really not difficult to cut this tubing. Make sure that the length that you're going to cut off, this is the end cap. This screws off. This is really nice to have this end cap because if you want to flush your lines, it works. It works well. So I'm going to, let's see, probably cut it. Probably about there. May hang off the edge a little bit. Got a tomatillo right here. Okay. There it is. This is where some clips come in handy to kind of hold it in place so it's not flopping all around. Now that one's in there, and we have our mainline tubing. I have one more raised bed just to the right. I'm going to have to then come back to my T-joint over here. Now, because I have one more raised bed, I have to continue my main line from my T-junction over to the next raised bed. So I pull another length of the mainline tubing, soften the end. I just want to show you, I couldn't have picked a better spot for showing how you hook all of this up. This is cinnamon basil. It is so fragrant. I am just intoxicated with the aroma. So a very good raised bed to do my work by. This is beans coming up here. We have some melons here. I think they're maybe Kajari melons. I'll have to look at my my map. Some basil and some leaf lettuce here, some red sales I think it is, and then some butter crunch I think on the other side. Now back for round 2 of the installation of my drip irrigation system. Now it's time to water each individual bed, and you put in the actual drip tape, and that's this stuff here. Right now it's flat because it has no water in it. And when it fills with water, it fills all up and is just a round tube. And we shut off the one end, and it forces the water out through these emitters, which are spaced every 12 inches. So let's get to it. Now with the drip tape, it's much easier to install. Here we have a transfer that this is going to go into our main line, or our actually our offshoot line that feeds the individual bed. This will press into that tube, and then this end will slip onto this drip tape very easily. You don't need any water like we would for the other one. And then you're going to tighten it down so there will be no leaks. Voila. So let me show you what we do with this one. Sorry, I had technical difficulties. What happens is you have a punch that punches a hole into that main line, and that end of the adapter pushes right in there until you hear the pop as it goes into the main line. And this forms a very secure connection with your drip tape and your main line. Simple as that. Now the next type of tubing to use, instead of the tape, we're going to use a tubing. This is a 1/4 inch tubing that has emitters every 6 inches. I have a few rows of carrots here, which would benefit from a 6-inch spacing. In order to attach that to the mainline tube, we're going to use this little thing here. This is what pops into your main line. I'm going to punch a hole like I did with the flat tape and push that in. This pushes very easily into this end. Sometimes if you can't, a pliers helps. It seems to work very well. Here is the test of the drip irrigation. Seems to be working fine. You can see it just bubbling out of here, dripping onto my melons, down through the beans, onto this side. It seems to be coming out fine. There's water dripping into the soil. And here's a new bed of carrots. It seems to be doing just fine. Yes, this is going to save me hours. It looks like I missed a plug at the end of this line. So what is very handy is I can have my shut-off valve here and stop it and go correct that. Okay, this is the type of end it needs. It's a stopper end. This end will slide into the tubing, the 1/4 inch tubing, to stop that. Whoa. There we go. That should fix that. Now I'll just go open my shut-off valve. I love that sound of water flowing through the tubes. I have to get some stakes to anchor these 1/4 inch lines down. Okay, well that's a wrap, I think, on my water irrigation. I have not put any on this bed because this is brassicas I'm harvesting, and when that's all done, then I will put some emitters on here for my fall crop of brassicas. So because I have these shut-off valves, I can turn off the water to this first bed because this is the main line to my water source, which you can see is right there. Well, I hope you found this informative. I'm certainly happy that I now have both sides, my main garden over there, this garden done. And I have a few more spots that will probably go on drip irrigation, but not quite yet. If you haven't already, please subscribe and follow along with me on my gardening journey this summer in 2022. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.